Hi friends, my name is Mackenzie, also known as Emtothethird on Instagram, Ravelry here on YouTube, and I'm coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, where we're in the middle of like a false spring. We've had a bunch of really sunny days and the weather went up to 70 degrees on one day. It was amazing. So I've been cracking all the windows open, but it is a false spring, and I say that because today the wind chill was like back down to 30 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius or -1 degree Celsius. So, you know, it's like I see, like I think we're all like in that anticipatory phase of winter, I think across the northern hemisphere, but I'm definitely seeing buds, like the leaves are about to come out on the trees, but we're just like not quite there yet. So yeah, that's giving me a lot of excitement, but also it sort of feels like things are going to ramp up. So yeah, there's just this like calm before the storm type of feeling happening for me. And it's also the, 1 year sort of anniversary of stay at home for me, at least. So that's been definitely weighing on my mind. I know a lot of others have been feeling that too. And so I think there's just a lot of reflection, which usually happens as spring is about to begin. And yeah, it's definitely, I think, just intensified this year for me. So yeah, I'm happy to be here with you today. It's a nice Saturday. Kay and I had a really nice breakfast and drank our coffee and watched a couple episodes of Ugly Delicious, which I found very inspiring. And food hasn't been very inspiring to me lately, I think because we just have been cooking and doing so many dishes. So it felt nice to kind of feel that spark. So yeah, if you have never been here before, I also run a naturally dyed yarn company, as well as a company where I illustrate knitters and knitting things and sell them, sell my illustrations on sticker sheets and project bags. And if you don't already, highly encourage you to hit the subscribe button and also to head over to my Instagram and follow me there for more information. And last bit of just, I hate housekeeping, but last bit of just admin stuff is that I have a Slack channel for viewers of this podcast. It's been such an amazing community over the last year in particular. We've been doing knit nights, and our first one was actually like exactly a year ago. I looked it up the other night. And so we've been doing them fairly consistently with like a small break for about a year, and we do them 3 times a month. So if you'd like more details about that, they're super fun, and you can head to the link down below to sign up for the Slack channel and join our really awesome community of people who are interested in like fat positive knitting, interested in like sustainable materials, mending, all sorts of stuff in there. And it's just, yeah, I can't stress how much of an awesome community it is. If you have knitting questions, you can go there, like all sorts of stuff, book recommendations. Yeah, so head to that link if you're interested in joining. And I have a lot to share with you today, so I'm excited to get into it. So my first, I think the only finished object that I have is actually going to come later. So I have been working with Kay, my partner, on a like UC Berkeley sweater for them. I knit the yoke and they knit like most of the stockinette body. I finished the sleeves and just finished the hood, and it came off the blocking boards this morning. And I had some requests in the live that I did a couple weeks ago for Kay to be on the podcast because I said that they knit. So Kay's a little like, but I don't really knit. But I thought it would be fun at the end of this episode to close out with some very handsome shots of Kay wearing their new sweater, as well as sort of talking about how knitting has been like involved in our relationship and some of the projects that they have done since we've been together. So I'm pretty excited about that conversation, and excited for you all to get to know Kay a little bit better. So yeah, like I said, definitely stick around for that. But for now, let's jump into the excessive amount of whips that I have going on right now. Yeah. Okay, the sun is like beating down and my curtains aren't the best for for like covering it up. So I'll do my best as it sort of moves and as I'm talking. So normally it's very rare that I have more than one sweater cast on at a time. And right now I technically have 3. And before I finished Kay's, I had 4. And that is completely absurd. So the one that I have been working on, which hasn't gotten a ton of work, it's in this lovely bag by Krista, my friend, who I will link below. And it is this Stockbridge cardigan by Isolde, and it's in this lovely color that is unfortunately from Quince, which I talked about a little bit more in depth last episode, which you can check out. Wait, you can check out here. So this hasn't gotten a ton bigger, but I have finished the waist shaping, and then did the bust shaping, and now I am on a part that I am just knitting like 30 straight rows in stockinette. And this is in fingering weight. It's on size, I think I'm ended up on 4 needles. Yep. So this is just, right, my word for, or my phrase for 2021, slow and steady. So it has grown for sure, but I've really been focusing my efforts on finishing Kay's sweater, and so now that that's done, I can kind of pick this up again. But I find that when I finish a big project that's been like on the needles, in addition to the fact that I've been recording a lot of stuff, and some of that, like if you saw the how long does it take to knit a sock video, is requiring more knitting. Yeah, it when I finish a big project, it's like I need a palette cleanser. Like I need some like ginger between my meal. So this has kind of been on hold, and I've been okay with that. It's been chilling, and I'll probably take it to hang out by the TV so that that can become my TV knitting. But in the meantime, I've been working on some of my long-standing whips. So one of those, which I am really excited to have gotten, made some progress on, as I just pull it off of the needles, this sock tube. And I described this sock tube a few episodes ago. So it's basically all of my scraps, and I'm doing them in a rainbow gradient. So it starts off at red and then transitions to orange, and I'm doing this helical knitting sock tube. This is the contrasting color. It's this very like neutral speckly pink. And just, yeah, doing this like huge helical knitting sock tube that will eventually transition into orange and then yellow and then green and then blue and then purple. So it's turning out pretty cool. Like I just started this new color up here. And my idea is to turn the sock tube into a full set of like gradient socks for Christmas one year and add heels and toes for everyone that needs it. As I've been working on this, I'm realizing that this is probably going to come into fruition not this Christmas, but the Christmas after, because it's just not something that I want to work on all the time. But it is kind of nice to pick up like when I have a meeting and I don't have anything that I can just be knitting on and not, you know, needing all of my attention. So yeah, I knit on this, and I do have a little marker, so that's where I was. So, you know, that's like a decent amount. And I kind of folded up the bottom because it was distracting me. But yeah, this is just a slow and steady, another slow and steady project. I'm not doing anything like hard right now, and that's okay with me. So as I work on this, like bit by bit, I will, you know, show it off here just so you can see the progress that is made. And I have that in my little hobo bag with my Conchita girl, and then my little rodeo girl. So yeah, it's getting me, both of those pins are getting me very excited for my move back west. So yeah, I decided to feature them on this bag. So I've been like very into organizing my projects into their own like bags, and then it's sort of like this really nice ritual to finish the project and then like redistribute everything that's in the bag. So if there's leftover yarn, depending on how much, it'll go into like my little scrap vases that I have. If, you know, just like, yeah, it just feels like sort of like, okay, like we're moving on. I'm like honoring the time that I spent with this project, and now I get to like sort of pick up and get ready for working on what's next. I know that seems silly, but that's what I've been doing pretty consistently, and it feels really nice. So the other long-term project that I haven't talked about in like a couple of episodes, or maybe 2 episodes ago, is the patchwork pullover. And I keep forgetting the designer's name. Shay, I think. So I'll put that, you know, put all of the stuff down below. And it's basically a bunch of squares that are going to be seamed together. So I had these 2 that I did, just, they were kind of like also my gauge, just to make sure that the needle size I was using and stuff would work. And so I've knit another one of these while I was watching Murder Among the Mormons the other night. So another one of this, which is Mondim held quadruple. Let's see if we can do this right now. Yeah, so there's 4 strands there. And then, so I was really hoping that this one would work. This is from Knit Collage, who is the wonderful Amy. And I have been on her really awesome podcast called Collage Creative. I can link the episode down below if you're curious about our little chat. And so this is a new yarn that I believe she just released in the fall. And it's kind of like a boucle. It's super lightweight, super fun to work with, but I think it's turning out to be a little bit too thick for this, because when I compare how big this is to the other swatches, oh wait, let me grab one that's blocked already. See how it goes out further? And that's the same number of stitches cast on. So I could just cast on fewer stitches and then, you know, basically make it the same size but add a different gauge. So I just need to, before I rip it out, like figure out what that would be. Because this is such a combination of different yarns, in this lovely basket. You know, everything is at a different gauge. So the fingering weight stuff, I'm holding quadruple. There's this bulkier, I mean, I think this is considered worsted, but I held that double. So there's gonna be a little bit of this where some gauges aren't going to work, and I'm actually holding this with the leftovers from the Cryostal shawl that I finished recently, because they were similar enough in color. But I don't think not holding that with it would actually make a difference, because this is just so airy that I just think that that's why it's not, like, it's just really hard to sort of make a compact fabric with it. So yeah, that's been kind of, I don't know if I just dropped a tapestry needle. Yeah, so this has been kind of fun just to, like I've mentioned, this sort of, I like these kinds of projects that make me look not at yarn, how do I say, that sort of allow me to put together a palette, and even if the yarns on a first glance wouldn't really go together, I'm like, but I like the colors so much that I'm gonna make them go together. So they're like far from being, you know, similar bases, similar constructions, and I'm gonna make them work. So yeah, I'll keep you updated with that. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And again, it's like, I feel like everything that I am knitting right now is stockinette and garter stitch. And that's just where I'm at. If everything, I'm just feeling like such a strong urge for wearability for me. I've been doing some shopping online for, you know, stuff for my wardrobe. Like, I think a lot of people, our bodies have changed while we've been in quarantine, and I'm just trying to kind of I'm just trying to be very deliberate in my wardrobe choices, whether that's with a purchase of a ready-to-wear garment or, you know, planning out my knitting. And so, yeah, that's just been heavy on my mind, and I think all of the things that I'm working on, despite the fact that they're boring to knit, are gonna be very wearable for me. Yeah, so let me go into the two things that I haven't gotten the chance to show you yet on the podcast. The first one is in another Krista bag. Look at how cool this is. It's ginormous and amazing. Just this big tote bag. Yeah. Krista's bags are just awesome. I feel like everyone is so, and like, your girl too is very into neutrals, but I do appreciate the colors. Pops of color. So I shared this book last episode, I believe, at the end of the last episode, that I got from my friend Heather's local online shop, and the patterns are, like I said, they're just really great. And there's like more masculine presenting models in it, which I really appreciate. So anyway, I was looking at yarn that I had, as well as thinking about buying a sweater quantity, and I was like texting with knitting friends and was like, I want like a woolen spun yarn, really to replace this sweater that I knit out of Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, which I've shown before. It's their hayloft color, so it's like the best mustard color, but it's just not holding up well, and that's in part because I didn't knit it at a tight enough gauge, in addition to just Shelter being not the strongest yarn. And so there's like a ton of mending, and it just, like, I'll still wear it around the house. It's like the one sweater that I always grab to put on because it's very lightweight, it's very comfortable, etc., etc. But it's looking a little ratty. And I wanted something that had the same amount of ease, was similarly lightweight, but still warm, and could actually, I feel like, be worn out of the house. So I picked the Woodwardia, which is actually a pattern that was published in an issue of Pom Pom a while ago. So it's obviously a raglan sweater with these pretty details at the increases. And so I don't think that I'm going to do like the turtleneck, mock neck, whatever. I think I'll just do a small neckline, but that's what I am knitting. And in this like lovely, ridiculous coral color. So I'm really excited about that. So really what I'm doing to keep track of is I make post-it, I don't want to like show you the pattern, but I make post-its like this. So this is all the increases, and I have just little notes for, you know, what each row is what I'm supposed to be doing in each row. And I keep that in there, and then as I do a row, I just check it off. I know people love, I can't remember the name of the app, but there's an app that you can kind of like plug your pattern into and even like put your chart into. But I like to have the option of being away from my phone while I'm knitting. So that's kind of why I keep it old school. And this yarn was not only in my stash, but actually was a sweater that I ripped out. So I had knit, it was my Rhinebeck sweater a couple of years ago, the Humboldt sweater by Anna Maltz, and it's with her Marlisle technique, and that whole book is so awesome. I'll insert like a photo of the sweater here. I wasn't super happy with the way it had been graded. And I finished, you know, like the body and upper arms, and it was not just massive on me, but it was also so heavy because it's knit in garter stitch. You know, when I was starting to knit it, I was thinking I should just do it in reverse stockinette. And I saw people on Ravelry had done that, but I like didn't listen to my gut, and I ended up doing it like the pattern is written in garter, and it was just so heavy. It was super heavy. See if that helps with the glare. So yeah, it's been sitting unwound for like on my shelf for a long time, and I was finally like, you know, I was thinking of buying a sweater quantity, and I was like, Mackenzie, you have yarn, you don't need to buy a sweater quantity. So I checked, you know, the gauge and stuff, and this works. So this is Cotton Comfort, so there's like these really nice nets in it, by Green Mountain Spinnery, and I got this at the yarn store I was working at the time. And I've used it for other projects, so I really actually like this yarn a lot, and I think it's going to be really nice for this sweater. So I should have plenty for it. And yeah, I've been noticing that I've been buying a lot of, I'm trying to find the color, but I don't actually see it around me right now. I've been buying a lot of like kind of like this mauve-y color, like, but in the spectrum of mauve, more on the red side. And I was like looking at my wardrobe and I was like, oh my god, I need to stop buying so many things in this color. And I'm very drawn to it. So I'm trying to sort of shy away from that color, and this is definitely not that. And I think it'll be really fun whether I finish it, you know, for the fall or for spring into summer. So yeah, I've been slowly working on this, enjoying it. And you know what? I also have a little helper named Kay who, oh, that's why I started it, because they didn't have anything to knit anymore because they had gotten past the point, we'd finished the body on their sweater. And so I was like, oh, Kay doesn't have anything to knit while we watch TV. So I thought that if I could crank that out, a sweater for myself, to the point where they were just doing the stockinette body, I could pass it off to them. Haven't gotten to that point, but I'd be very happy to have a little helper elf doing all that stockinette. So, okay, and then the last work in progress. Can you believe? I don't think I've ever had this many whips on here ever. Is, I briefly mentioned it. I shared this baby book, which I really, really like, last episode. And it is, I'm going to show you the picture from the book because it looks, the way it's seamed makes it look like a mess right now. So it's this little pattern. And I decided to go a little wild with my color scheme. And I am using this, oh shoot, what is it called? I was gonna, okay, I think this, it's from no. I'm gonna put it down below. It's Stone something Mills. You know it. And this is their like crazy color yarn. So what they do is they take the mill ends and they just wind it together. It's a more affordable option than Spin Cycle, which is what it was marketed at the store that I bought it from, which is local to me. And you kind of don't know what you're gonna get. They're all completely different. You know, they're the 2 plies that are different colors. And so I bought 2 of them for something a while ago, and I never got around to using them, but I thought they'd be fun for a little baby garment where color isn't so, you know, it's like fine for a baby to be wearing something wild. And so I'm almost done. I need to knit the second sleeve. This is the first sleeve. And the colors are ridiculous. So this is the back of the sweater. I added the purposeful stripe, which is this darker color, which is naturally dyed by Sincere Sheep. And I only have like a little bit of it left. This is left over from another project. And I love this yarn a lot. It was from her Made Here club. So I've used, like, I just really liked the colors that she did, and I like the yarn. It's like a 2-ply sport weight. So yeah, I'm almost done with this. It'll, I hopefully look much cuter next time I show it to you finished. And yeah, so nibbling projects are coming along really well. And yeah, that's in my little fringe bag, RIP. Okay, I think that's all of my whips for right now. Wow, yeah. I did want to show you some mending that I did. I think like I jinxed myself because I feel like all of my socks are sprouting holes left and right. It's really cool. Just as I was like, I'm on a break from knitting socks, I feel like all my socks are like just kidding. So not all of this is like completely done. As I'm looking at them, I have some loose ends hanging out. This pair of socks they're wild. This is Spin Cycle, and then this is a mini set from 100 Ravens, I believe, that I got. They're a local indie dyer, and they just had a rainbow sock set. And I was like, it'd be really cute to knit some sort of rainbow colorwork pattern. And the pattern is from one of Coop Knit's sock books. I'll put the pattern down below. I don't know the name. Yeah, so I just noticed like Spin Cycle isn't the best yarn for socks because there's no nylon and it's not particularly tightly spun, and I believe it's merino. So I started getting a hole at the bottom, so I used my little loom like I showed off in that last episode to do this little patch in addition to some duplicate stitches up there just to make sure all the weak points were covered. I do think this could probably use some reinforcement in the heel, but I was thinking of doing my little felting method there. So there's that, and then like this is some duplicate stitching in the heel, and then another patch up here. So that should give these a bit more time with me. So that's nice. And then these, which I've already mended. So what I'm learning is that yarns that are 100% superwash, I think all of these are merino, are not lasting as long as the ones with the nylon in them, which I suppose is to be expected, but I'm definitely seeing socks that I knit like at the same time, or you know, in very close proximity, are just not holding up as well. So you know, I mean, this has been a discussion on this channel and other channels about just durability, sustainability, and sort of like the toss-up of how long you can wear them versus, so like if their use is more, I don't want to say important, but if the amount of time that you can use the sock, even including with mending, makes up for the fact that there is nylon in it, which is not necessarily biodegradable. I don't know the answer. I don't think there is an answer, but for me, I'd rather have the nylon in it and not have to mend as frequently. I think that's what I've decided, but I don't know. So anyway, that one's been mended, that little patch there. And then the other one got a hole and then like a side hole. So I'm in the middle of patching this, but I kind of just wanted to show you that this is the patch, this big patch is what I did with my little loom. And then that little section I'm doing by hand. But God, like what a mess. And it already has a patch there. So, but that'll give this sock some more life. I really like these socks. They're from when I worked at Verb. That's where the yarn is from. So yeah, they've been with me for a long time. I think like 5 years, over 5 years. So the fact that I'm just mending them now, like that's pretty significant, and it's going to give them quite a bit more time with me. So yeah. Hi. So you have been asking for Kay to come on and talk about their knitting because I said that they helped knit the bear sweater. So I'm gonna include some images towards the end of my interview of Kay wearing the sweater, and they look so handsome in it. And we're gonna just talk to you about what they've knit before.
Yeah, so when we first started hanging out and we would like watch TV and Mackenzie would knit. Oh my god. Now you're like, why you're gonna
make
have
you
to
blush.
edit this. Kidding me. So when we started hanging out and we would like watch TV and Mackenzie would knit, I would need something to do with my hands. So she taught me how to knit.
And you're saying I'm being too forward?
Yeah. Okay, so I knit this. I remember knitting this while watching Selena. Mm-hmm. And that's all I can say about that. I don't know.
So when we started dating, like, I have knit a lot of stuff for exes that I ended up like regretting, like low-key regretting knitting. So when I started dating Kay, I was like, look, well, first of all, we met like months before I was moving away from the Bay Area. And so I was like, I'm not knitting you anything. Like, we just met. So I was like, but I'll teach you how to knit if you want. And so instead of knitting something for them, I decided to teach them how to knit. So I think I did, you know, a few rows of ribbing, and then I was just like, here, this is how you knit. And then they finished it. And they even did the decreases on DPNs. And this is, not Lion, not Shepherd's Pride. I don't remember. Yeah. It was just a skein of yarn that I had. So, yeah, Lamb's Pride. It's Lamb's Pride with some mohair in it. So, yeah, they had this little hat that they knit. And then we definitely weren't expecting to be long distance. Oh, hi, Moose. And we definitely weren't expecting them to move to Boston initially. So, I actually think, Kay, that the next thing that you knit was this.
Yeah. So in San Francisco, they have Pride, and the day before Pride is Dyke March, and the day before Dyke March is Trans March. And I remember at Trans March seeing a kid wearing a knit trans flag hat, and I asked Mackenzie if she would make me one, and she said no. But she taught me how to make it.
Makes me seem so rude.
So rude. But she taught me how to make one. Mm-hmm. So I made it myself.
Yeah.
I don't know why it ended up with these little like holes in the front. But I always put them behind so that people can only see it behind me.
Yeah, and Kay really likes hats that don't cover their ears. So it's like a little yarmulke-y.
I've been asked if it's a yarmulke. Oh, man.
But, you know, it serves its purpose. It's pretty cute. And I think we bought the yarn at A Verb for Keeping Warm, like, before I, like, moved away. I think you still have some of that yarn, so if you wanted to knit another one.
Matching gloves. Baby hat.
Yeah, baby hat. Moose! Stop it.
Okay, and then the next thing I knit, according to Mackenzie, I don't remember, this was all a while ago, but I knit this scarf. I think I remember knitting it on a plane at some point. I don't know why I was on a plane. There's like an obvious line where I messed it up.
They did a good job on it.
It's got character. Oh yeah, there are other little lines on it. Just for...
And that's with Eco Plus. I think you were knitting it on a plane because you were coming to visit me before you moved. And
yeah.
I
was trying to impress you.
I guess it worked.
Even with the little lines.
No, you did. I mean, look, for beginner, like, you know that I've taught many people how to knit. And you've done really great, like, as a beginning knitter, aside from the fact that you need my help.
Mackenzie has to babysit me while I'm knitting. Otherwise, I'm like, I lost track of where I am in the pattern. And then, if I was doing it by myself, I would definitely have given up immediately.
I think that's a lot of knitters. So, and then I think the next thing was that I knit you this sweater vest, which is another Anna Maltz pattern. This is the second time I mentioned her. And it's a free pattern on Knitty. And Kay picked the colors based on a Neapolitan ice cream. Because Kay's favorite thing in the whole world, aside from me, is ice cream.
Depending on the day.
Wow. So, it was like completely knit in the round, and then this was all steeked, and I had to weave in every end.
Yeah, there was a lot of fringe going on.
I think each armhole and the neck hole took me like 2 hours to finish in like each. And you wore it to, I feel like I finished it and you wore it to go see the Fingersmith. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. At the Harvard, the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I gotta finish it for our date night. To go see this terrible movie about murdering lesbians.
It's like a historical drama lesbian play.
It was a lot. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I saw I think I was looking on Ravelry maybe.
I think I showed it to you in jest.
And I was like, yes, let's make one. It is a smitten. Okay, have to wear it.
So you can hold hands when it's cold, and it's in the shape of a heart. Yeah.
Da, 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 da. And then it comes with other gloves.
Yeah, so that you have a whole set, but it's very hard to put the glove on, the mitten on.
You could just wear the mittens.
This is gonna be the screen.
Oh, it's so warm. It's so warm.
It is really difficult to wear, to our chagrin, once it was done, because like we would be simultaneously walking the dog, trying to keep this on, and so it's knit with a super bulky yarn, and we use Spud and Chloe outer, so it's like wool and cotton, and it's super thick, and it's just heavy, so it would like be slipping off our hands, you know, while we were wearing it. But Kay did this whole thing, you know, with some guidance, but they knit that. They did mess up a little on one of the mittens.
Where? I didn't know that.
No. Remember, you like were like, I'm done, and you like pulled it off, and the thumb was like up here.
Oh, yeah. It looked like an alien hand.
It was the second mitten, so they were like, yes, it's done. And then I was like, what happened to the thumb? And I don't know how they got away with
like
that.
This, but it was like...
So I think you were like done at that point. You were like, F this. So I'm pretty sure that I undid it and I finished it for either your birthday or anniversary.
Oh, yeah. I think it was our anniversary.
So that we had our smitten.
Worth it.
Oh my god. So we have a lot of fun, you can tell. And so the reason, like one of the reasons that this is coming up is because I finally finished the UC Berkeley sweater. Super cute, right? Has this lovely hood, and this is by Max the Knitter. I used Aran More Light, which I talked about a little bit more, and it's just like, this yarn is super nice. It's super light, but it's very warm, and it fits Kay really great.
Like a glove.
But like a sweater. So like I mentioned, I knit basically down to where the arms and the body separate, and then Kay knit like the whole body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I did the ribbing, and then I did the sleeves and the hood.
It turned out really well after the blocking, because it was like super poofy.
Yeah.
Like the yellow parts were like...
Yeah. And I talked about that on the podcast last episode. That's just kind of something that can happen when you have these like sort of daggers of one color. And also the yellow was supposed to be carried through, and that was what was supposed to make up the face, but I liked the way the blue looked better. And even though it was kind of a pain to knit that many rows with 3 colors, I'm really happy I did it. So yeah, now you have 2 garments that I've knit you. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny because Kay is petite and smaller than me, and I am fat positive and fat and whatever. And both of us have a hard time finding clothes for very different reasons.
Right.
Like, I have a hard time finding clothes that go up to my size, and Kay has a hard time finding clothes that go down to their size.
Yeah. I'm really lucky that people dress their children like adults, so I can shop in the kids section, in the boys section.
Yeah.
Because men's clothes is just like too big.
Yeah.
It's like the armpits are like here.
Yeah, and like the shoulder seam ends up sitting
right.
really low and all this stuff. So we've, found ways to kind of both feel affirmed in the clothing that we find. But one of the ways that we can do that is by making clothes. So yeah, I'm really happy that you like this so much and that I was able to make it for you.
Yeah.
And that we're sort of amassing a collection of fun clothes together. And
yeah, and a lot of my like UC Berkeley paraphernalia is getting stretched out and holes in it from the cat or like bleach stains or whatever, so I've slowly had to throw things away over time, so it's nice to have like a refresher of my school spirit.
An heirloom. So yeah, I hope you had fun having Kay here. Is there anything else you want to talk about or say, or? No pressure.
I don't know. I don't know what the people want to know.
If you have Kay, if you have questions for Kay that you want them to answer and come back and talk about, you should definitely leave a comment below. And yeah, stick around. There's just a little bit more that I'm going to catch you up on. So thanks for hanging out with me and Kay. It's been really fun having them on the podcast. I hope you got to know them a little bit better. The very last thing that I want to talk about is the Knit Diverse Knit Along that is happening on Instagram and YouTube right now. So I'm super excited to have a prize as part of the Knit Along hosted by Amy Scher. And I just kind of wanted to explain what it is and show the prize that you can possibly win by participating. So Amy's sort of impetus behind starting the Knit Diverse Knit Along is to highlight BIPOC and LGBTQ plus knitters who are, dyeing yarn, making knitting patterns, making notions, etc., which is right up my alley as a queer Latinx knitter in this industry and dyer. So I have shared a skein of my yarn Liminal in this beautiful berry kind of colorway, which is called Pearl Jam, P-U-R-J-A-M. So you could win a skein of this, a PDF copy of my hat pattern, Kukulkan, which is this lovely hat knit out of the same yarn, and a little set, they're all I messed up, but a little set of stitch markers with lava beads that you can choose an essential oil to infuse with them. And this sticker sheet that I made in collaboration with Dawn, who is Knit Yarn Stuff. And yeah, so you get this like amazing little pack, if I do say so myself, of goodies for knitting, a pattern by a BIPOC knitter and designer, in addition to knitting with yarn, either or both and. So yeah, I'm super excited to be involved with the Knit Diverse Cal. Yeah, that's just the last little bit. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I really hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you very soon. Bye.